Although, you know something?
Taylor Sheridan.
Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is I don't, but his name in the show is Travis
Yes.
Whitley.
Yeah.
I don't even use Google anymore.
What do you do?
ChatGPT.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
You recommended that book, the ChatGPT Millionaire.
Yeah.
Was it like a year ago or something?
Yeah,
like that?
yeah.
And that last October, so it was before I met you, and I planned the whole itinerary off ChatGPT, and to double check it, was some of our friends, they met in Scotland, and I sent them the itinerary and said, hey, is this like they frequent Scotland all the time, and I was like, is this kind of what you guys would recommend doing? And they're like, honestly, we would not change anything. That's like exactly what we.
That's pretty cool.
Like, dude, that's crazy.
No, and I love it. So I have a number of funny, because I talk to ChatGPT like it's my homie. Serious.
Yeah, they say it learns, right?
Yep.
Like you kind of want it to get it.
And I'll tell you another thing, and I'll get you. I don't know. I'll put you onto something really dope after this next thing. So I get really into ChatGPT, and I'll like wake up in the morning and be like, "Yo, good morning, chat." I'm like, hey Justin, how's it going? You know what I mean? And I talk to it like Jarvis, like from Iron Man.
Yeah.
And so I'll be like, yo, bro, like pull it together, dude. Like you can do better than that. Like when it's like writing me an email or a caption or something like that, I'll be like, come on, dog, like that's bring it. You know what I mean?
Less of this, more of that. You know?
Yeah. And now it just knows when it's like, okay, dude, I should have brought it a little more heavy this time. You know what I mean? So I was waiting for Freddie to come over because we were driving down to where were we going? To the border. We're going down to Tijuana.
Yeah. CBX.
We're going to pick my wife up from the border. She was down there.
Hopefully, good reason you're picking up from the border.
Yeah, we're smuggling my Mexican wife across the border. No, she was down visiting family, and so anyways, I was sitting there while he was coming, and I had ordered this mushroom tequila. Do you know what that is?
Nope.
So it's another alcohol I like alcohol substitutes. And I was going to chat GPT this. We'll have this conversation too. It's like already stacking up. Like I said, I never like to have a game plan because like all of a sudden everything will stack up. And so I poured a glass of the mushroom tequila, and I was like, it's no alcohol. And I was like, no, this is kind of good.
The walls start moving.
No, not it wasn't like magic mushrooms. It was just like lion's mane. So it gave you like a relaxed vibe, a relaxed feel, not fucked up or anything like that. But I was like, But I'm also an alcoholic. Yeah. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna have another glass. Yeah. Right. Sure. And then, so then I was like, I wonder if this is bad for me, like to drink, if I drank the whole bottle, and it looks like a fifth, right? Yeah. So I'm like, I wonder if I can drink the whole bottle. So I look at I go to ChatGPT and I go, hey, it's called Little Saints. I'm like, hey, Chat. I'm like, if I drank a whole bottle of Little Saints, would that be bad for me? And I was looking at the ingredients, and it's just lion's mane and water. And I'm like, no, it's not going to be. You can drink 10 bottles. And it's like, it's not advised to drink a whole entire bottle of Lions or of this because of this, and this. It could give you an uncomfortable feeling in your stomach and so on and so forth. And I go, come on, chap, let's be real. And I was like, look, it's not advised. We don't recommend it. And it was like, gave me a couple other things. You're probably going to whatever. And then I'm like, okay. I go, chat, I want you to be real with me. And he goes, all right, dude, listen, it's not going to do shit. It's probably going to make you piss a little bit more. And then it goes on to say a couple other things. And then at the very end, it goes, so enjoy your faux buzz, champ. And I died. I was like, oh, my God, it knows me that well. Enjoy your faux buzz, champ.
That's hilarious. Did you listen to the Musk and Rogan podcast that I think it was the day before the election? They were talking about Musk's version of his ChatGPT.
No.
He's trying to program it with humor and stuff like that, so that he tried to give an example live about like say this joke, and basically the joke sucked, and he was like. And Joe was like, that joke kind of sucked. He's like, yeah, I know, it's fucking hard. Yeah. It was kind of funny because they have all these different, Microsoft has their version, ChatGPT, stuff like that. And so when you search something, they all have some type of bias. If you ask it political questions or things like that and stuff. So,
I've never really done anything like that. I've asked it. Let's see, what have I asked it to do before? I wanted to write a really harsh thing on obesity.
Oh, okay.
And it was like, I'm not going to probably play that game. Yeah. But now it will.
Do it. Yeah. I mean, do it and then try. I don't even know what Microsoft's one is called because all I use is ChatGPT. And then one of our media guys uses, what's it called? When he's trying to produce content, it's like Clancy or something like that.
Okay.
I forget what it's called.
There's a few of them.
There's a million of them out there now, which is really crazy. I mean, the technology, but that's why, when people say like, hey, what's this? Like we were talking, we're recording right now, I'm assuming. So like we were talking about who's the creator of Yellowstone. It's like, first thing I do, it's like a knee jerk, I just Google it.
Right.
Like, I don't even care who that was, but it's like, we live in 2024. If this were 100 years ago, that question would never go answered. You have to go to a library and look up an encyclopedia. It's crazy.
So my chat GPT I have on my lock screen and on where my text message button is.
Oh, okay.
I keep it right by my thumb so I can hit it and talk into it.
Mine's under my utility folder.
Yep. Yeah. So mine would be right where your messages are.
Okay. Gotcha.
So it's like right there. I can just boom. And then, yo, chat, what's up? But I will turn you onto this. Sintra AI. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Ooh. So Sintra is a whole team. And they're little avatars. And they're like cute, but they're cool. And like they have personalities. And you have one for PR, one for copywriting.
Like a virtual
team.
VA kind of a thing? Like,
you have a VA. One's a VA, but they
AI?
specialize in certain things.
It's a website.
Can you grab my phone, Freddie? I'm going to show you this. This is going to blow your mind. You're going to fire all of your employees.
Really? Awesome. I don't have any employees.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, just everyone's 1099.
Oh, good. Me too.
Yep.
Smart.
Yeah, we're smart.
Yeah, smart. Because then you had to deal with HR. So this is Sintra. See, and there's all these little guys: Buddy, Cassie, Comet, Dexter, Emmy, Gigi, Millie, Penn's my boy. This is I believe my copywriter, Scouty, Busy.
And so each one has a different, like you ask them different questions. Do they have different functions, or how does that work?
Yeah. They all have different functions, and then they log right into like all of your stuff, your email.
Cool.
You can have it respond to emails for you. You can have it do
this
everything.
stuff I love because like I just made a Vista Social account for the first time. Like,
oh, really?
Like plans. Yeah, we're just trying to take a deep dive on that stuff. So like I've just, like I was telling you at lunch before this, I've had my nose just buried in stuff, and so technology is crazy. I just feel like there's a lot of speculation and opinions. Oh, is AI good? Is this and that? It's like
it's great.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Like just write it. If you were 30 years ago trying to be a content writer or do this or that, like, you've just got to adapt with it.
Yeah.
I feel like you embrace new technology, you figure out what works. If you try something, it doesn't work, great, move on to the next thing. And eventually you stumble across something like that or ChatGPT, and it works amazing for your business. And
the smartest thing I've heard recently, and this wasn't even that recent, it was like a year or two ago, was somebody said, people will not be replaced by AI, which they will, but the truth is that people will be replaced by people who understand AI.
Right, yeah.
And I've completely dove into all of it, and now, like I said, like I have ChatGPT trained so well. I've started, so I haven't been working with Sintra, my team, that long, but I'm working with them individually and getting them to understand what I expect out of them and things like that, and I treat it like a human.
I'll have to check that out.
I treat it exactly like a human.
I still remember you said something that sparked my memory from a bachelor party I was at a couple years ago. My good buddy Trace from college and his friend Dylan, my friend too. But I believe he was like the CTO, I believe, of some like waste management type business, big trash company, startup. And he was saying like he has gotten on the ChatGPT train, and he oversees like the team of engineers. And so it's crazy because for him, he's got a staff of guys making six figures a year. They're engineers and stuff that he can just now go to ChatGPT and be like, how do I do this? And it just spits out the code.
Right.
And he's like, so, hey guys, like, don't be intimidated by this. Use this to your advantage. You can now do 10 times more than you can in one day. Like, just keep using, like, let's roll with it, and it's crazy. Cause obviously I think I think, the way the world is going, there's going to be AI, there's gonna be crazy shit. Like I work in landscaping, construction, real estate, stuff like that. In 20 years, there's probably going to be robots mowing your lawn and like doing stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, embrace it.
That actually, a lot of it already exists. I mean, there's even
Yeah.
like a robot like traffic officers that can do Dubai and stuff. I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
Now I don't know if it's like actually a thing yet, but I
Yeah.
know that they're talking about like like literally there's like Teslas driving around like
Yeah. Which
giving
is
people like
crazy.
like texting while driving tickets. And that again, that might be something really futuristic, but I think it's becoming a thing. And yeah, no, that's a great way to put it. The people that I would be concerned about would be people in the courthouses.
Was that movie Minority Report, right, with Tom Cruise that came out like 20 years ago? Where
I never even
if you don't
thought about
remember it, so I read this book in college called Big Data, and this was like when Facebook was like everyone's on Facebook. MySpace has been pretty much replaced, but Facebook was still pretty new, like within 5 or 6 years. And so they were talking about, we read the book in class and we talked about the movie Minority Report because the whole like impetus of the movie was that, you wake up and you get arrested for a crime that you hadn't committed yet in the future. But because, there's an algorithm, back when Amazon was the first, inventor of suggested for you stuff. And now you talk about something and then you're scrolling through Facebook and you see an ad for it. It's like, what the hell? So kind of like that on steroids where, it's like when you get in your car and it says, 22 minutes to wherever you're actually going. And you're like, what the hell? I don't go here very often. How does it know I'm driving there?
Right. Yeah.
But that's where, when you said like the courthouse and stuff like that, it's like, yeah, I mean, that's going to be, I don't think we're too far away from that.
Well,
really.
even like, I've actually sat down with like even what are the people who type stenographers?
Yeah. Whatever that
Like
word is.
they're getting replaced.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not any work for them. And here's the thing: I would tell anybody that that has this concern, and again, remember, this is my philosophy and kind of my thought, and I'm not the only one who has this thought. Yes, people will be replaced by people who understand AI, and artificial intelligence is going to become, obviously, we know is becoming more and more important, and it's there. Okay, right. Get used to it. But I also believe that actually is going to raise the value of human connection a lot. Like people will be it'll be a huge desire.
Sure.
To have human connection.
Well, look at how much time it frees up for you. Like,
yeah.
Like if I want to say, okay, write 10 Instagram posts about why people should remodel their backyards. I don't have to go spend 3 hours doing that. Now I could, do stuff that's important. Not everyone's a business owner, so I get that. But like it frees up your time. And I think time is, like we were talking about at lunch before this, is your most important commodity, especially when you're a business owner, or really if you're not, if you're an employee, whether you're, whatever your story is. You don't realize how valuable time is until you realize how valuable time is.
And when you have more time, you can watch Yellowstone and other cool series.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone, like, what's so funny is I see so many people on social media and people in my industry that are like, mindset coaches, like, you spend so much time, binging Netflix. I'm like, yeah, I do.
Because you created systems and processes.
Yeah, so I can.
Do whatever you want.
I can rot my brain with Kevin Costner and Taylor Sheridan and all. Is that his name?
Yeah, Taylor Sheridan. Yeah.
And there's actually, so you just finished Yellowstone, and so did I.
Yep.
There's some. I don't know. There's people that are throwing shade at Taylor Sheridan.
Interesting.
And the Travis Wheatley or whatever his name is, in that he was the ego, and like why would he make himself such a big character at the end? I actually liked him.
You know his story, like what he was doing like 10 years ago?
No.
I just popped up on my news feed probably like 7 or 8 days ago, and I feel like my mom, like I've heard a lot of people talk about Taylor Sheridan, and I'm like, it just goes in one ear out the other. I'm like, I don't know who Taylor Sheridan is, whatever. But then I see this newsfeed article and a photo of his face, very recognizable face, really good looking dude. And, I recognize him from Sons of Anarchy. He's the sheriff in Sons of Anarchy. And I guess there was something that happened where they had to either let him go. I don't know if it was on Sons of Anarchy or whatever, but they basically said, hey, we don't need you anymore. Maybe it was after they finished the season or something. But what happened was he had like, a few $100 to his name kind of a deal. And he's like, well, this sucks being an actor. I want to get into writing. And then that, failure or that, big, setback is what ultimately was kind of the catalyst to get him to write Yellowstone. which is freaking cool. I think it's badass.
Yeah.
And he's at the time, I think he was probably in his probably mid 40s or so. And it just shows you it's never too late to start. You're never too old to start.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
And now he's got one of the biggest. I don't know how it ranks on compared to Netflix and all the other stuff, but it's got to be the biggest show on television.
Everybody that I like, everybody that I like is talking about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So
I'm not going to give spoilers away.
Not saying that if you don't watch Yellowstone, I don't like you.
Yeah, but no,
Freddie.
it's a freaking badass show. Yeah, gotta talk with Freddie back here.
Yeah, but
work on that.
Sorry, Freddie. I hate to bust you out. Freddie doesn't watch Yellowstone. That's what we're getting at.
But I got 2 weeks off, so.
Oh yeah, that's right. I do have 2 weeks
you
off.
bench.
There we go. Yeah. That'll take you some time too. They're like an hour long.
I got to totally sidestep the mushroom stuff. I got to hook you up with my buddy Nick. He started a company called Breeze, and they've totally gone viral, taken over.
The cans.
Yes.
I've seen them advertised.
I'll tell him to get you a case because it's, I'm not into mushroom stuff. I don't really drink but it's something that I look forward to, especially on the golf course. Too.
Yeah.
You drink a couple of those and you don't feel, it's not like the magic mushrooms or anything, but you do when you have 2 or 3 of those things, you feel like it's
and
like
they encourage you to drink a couple of them too.
It's like they're trying to replace drinking. It's caught fire.
Well, a lot of places are. Dude, when I was in LA, there's multiple places that are mocktail only. They don't even sell booze,
which is honestly,
and they're popping.
It's good.
Yeah,
good for society, but
it's really good for
it's
society.
nice too because for me, I'm tracking my calories. I'm on a regimen. So when you go golf, it's so easy. When you go golf with your friends and they want to go get a 6-pack or something like that, and just it's for me, that's 500 calories right there that doesn't do shit, and I don't feel buzzed. So there's no point in drinking beer on the golf course. I don't even really like drinking beer anymore. But for those things, they're 20 calories or 30 calories a can. Throw them in the cooler and you can get they have little tall ones that are 12 or 14 ounces.
Yeah, I saw. I looked at the. I saw. I was wondering about them.
Yeah, I'll hook you. He's a digital creator guy too. I'll hook you up with him. So, but yeah, that stuff is great if you like the mushroom stuff.
It's a really good plug.
Yeah,
it's a really good plug. We'll invoice your boy.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. And yeah, I like the alternatives. I've never drank non-alcoholic beer. Ever.
Yeah.
Doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah,
I didn't like drinking alcohol beer other than if that was it or shotgunning it. You're going to shotgun a non-alcoholic
college
beer.
days, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that was my favorite way to ingest alcohol was shotgunning beer.
Yeah. I don't know how I used to shotgun in college. I think I tried shotgunning maybe a year ago and it was just why? It's awful.
No. Because you have good head rush, but again, not
glory days are over for me.
It's good. Yeah, you're a full-blown dad now.
Yeah, now we're dad in business, so the fun stuff, the real fun stuff.
So, and how old's your son?
He just turned 2 early September.
Okay.
So he's coming up on 2.5.
Terrible twos.
Yeah, he's been he's a sour patch, as I'm sure everybody says their 2 or 3-year-old is. He's super sweet, wants to cuddle 1 minute, and then the next minute you're like, I'm gonna strangle you.
Yeah.
I love you, but go get some energy out.
Yeah.
It's funny. He runs everywhere, so he is I know everyone says their kids they're quick, but dude, this kid is super fast, and anyone who's watching knows how fast that kid is. So it's you can't not be in shape. I feel if you have a kid like that, they're just running everywhere.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's funny. You hear about these dads and they're like, oh my God, I'm so out of shape. I can't keep up with my kids. And it's fuck.
Go to the park and chase them around for an hour. You'll be good.
They burn some calories there.
Yeah.
2024 has been an interesting year.
For sure.
Big year. Tell me, what's going on?
So, what's the timeline? We met, was it this year in March?
It was a while ago, wasn't
it? Or was it last year? Yeah, it was this year, I think.
Yeah, it was it was either February, March.
So yeah, so we met through a longtime friend of mine, Dane Poole, who used to be one of your coaches.
Yep.
And I remember I signed up with you, and I was nose deep in all the calls. Really got a lot of value from speaking and just really learning how to understand ads, how they work, how to benchmark, what's a cost per click, what is it cost per lead, and just kind of when to turn them on, when to turn them off, stuff like that. And I feel timing is really interesting because for us, we've done a lot of experimenting with paid ads this year for my construction company. And it's really helped, but I have really found that there's not a lot of people who can do it really well. So that's kind of lit a fire under me to want to go really learn it and multiply it.
So I remember the first, because like you were really, like you said, you were really deep at first. I remember we were having some really, really good results.
Yeah, for sure.
Has that sustained?
No, because I stopped doing it.
So okay. I was like, fuck, man, what happened?
No. I mean, so for me, like what I try to do is just like, like with any successful business owners, you try to replace yourself and create a system so that, if it's marketing, I need to find someone who I can trust to delegate to, because I don't make money punching in the numbers and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. So I don't do my own ads.
Yeah. Sales team. There's no time for me to do the sales anymore. There's no time for me to do the project management. So for me, like I have to work on growing the business. Well, what I've learned is that home improvement. So for anyone who's watching, I have a home remodel business, which is kind of like my bread and butter. And then I've always done real estate stuff on the side as well, buying and selling apartment buildings. But home service is different. It's obviously a high ticket offer. When you're selling it online, you really have to build a relationship. And that's what it's taken me this year to really kind of get in the trenches to learn, is that we need to grow our audience. So we need to do a lot more organic content. Mm-hmm. We need to go build those relationships, because a lot of times when you're, a small project for us is 30 grand, so we do projects, probably the most anyone's ever spent with us, probably $500,000 across the front and the backyard. So they're high ticket.
And it's all exterior remodel.
All exterior. We are kind of noodling with doing interiors right now. We just brought over super.
Isn't that a pain in the ass?
It's a pain in the ass. That's why I don't like doing it. Is because I've grown up in construction, and when someone's basically living with you, if you're redoing your kitchen, like you wake up, you see the same smelly guys every day for, the good ones, if they do it in 2 or 3 weeks, they can bang it out. The ones that are awful take 6 months.
So
you just hate them. You want them out of your house. So
I'm going to tell you something. I grew up with having, like, to the point where, like, I know these guys still to this day. I grew up with construction workers in my home at all times.
Same. Every house I've ever lived
always under construction.
Yeah, I hate it. I still hate it.
Your house still is always under construction?
I still, the idea of living in a house, at least like the heart of the home, like your kitchen, bathrooms, you can relocate if you have kids. Hey, we're using this bathroom, we're not using that. But like having people in your house with dust and just, temporary walls and stuff like that, it's just not fun to be around.
Yeah.
So
my dad used to have this book, and he would always reference it. It was called The Perfect Home Is Never Finished. And he lived by that, dude. We always were redoing it. And we moved a number of times, but the last house that I lived in with them, with my family, right, was in high school. So we moved in my freshman year, and they recently sold the house. We had the house about 20 years. Okay. And it was like Cosmopolitan Home of the Year, like like it was like,
to him, it's art.
Yeah,
he sounds like he's a perfectionist.
And, big time.
Yeah.
So all the houses that he's either bought, he's completely bulldozed over and completely redone everything. So this house, though, in particular, was like always like we had probably 4 kitchens, and then kitchens inside the kitchens, and like it was like constantly under construction. So there was a guy, Jim, and Doug, and they were literally at our house every single day for years, bro.
Yeah, dude.
And then when that project was done, they were back, and it was like always. So I get it, and but again, too, you're in high school at the time.
Yeah. Well, I still, one of my earliest memories was, I think my dad and my mom, when they were married, building a pool in the backyard, and they had like the worst of the worst pool, like pretty much how everyone pictures a flaky pool contractor. Like, that was this guy. Like, never enough money, never on time. Would say I'd be here at Tuesday. He shows up on Friday. Like, just one of those things. And I can remember how stressed my parents were about it. And it's kind of funny, just, how life works and how things are ironic. But, my old man was a developer. My stepdad was a general contractor. So I've kind of just grown up in that. Mm-hmm. And so now, like, construction doesn't bother me at all. Like, but I'm also not the one living in it. I do a lot of projects, not for myself, like for our clients and also for buildings that I buy. So I'm not emotionally attached to it. But I feel like that's something that, when we go into any project, we have to understand, you're going into someone's, most of the time it's their biggest investment. It's where their family lives. They got kids, they got dogs, stuff like that. And you have to be super mindful of that. And that's, for us, kind of like a no-brainer. Like, for our MO is just, hey, be extremely reliable and extremely accommodating in an industry that's filled up with flakes and alcoholics and just people that are super unreliable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like when the Spurs were really good in the early 2000s, they always play the Lakers. Like, they didn't do anything crazy. They just made their free throws. Tim Duncan was like master of the bank shot. Like, it's just singles, singles and doubles. And that's what we try to do on the construction side. But, I can really understand, though, because I have lived in that, been on the other side of the coin when you're living through it and you've had your feet dragged through the mud with some really shitty contractors. Like, it sucks. Like,
I know a lot of contractors that will actually like rent the house that they live in. They have no interest in having to deal with that on their own selves.
Sure. Yeah.
But then I also, most of my contractor friends, like, Scotty was a GC before he started with me.
I did not know that.
Yep.
That's cool.
Custom homes.
No
He
shit.
did full builds.
Wow.
Yeah, really talented.
Wow,
Really talented.
that's
Big,
awesome.
and obviously he's not anymore. He's far more successful than he was in that world now. But he, his house is he bought his house like years ago. It was just a small house with tons of land.
Yeah.
And and his house is amazing, for what it is. Like it's incredible. He redid everything in it. It's all custom to him, and it's it's like you walk in and you're like, this is a builder's house.
Oh, for sure.
Everything's custom.
Yeah, I mean, and my eye for interiors is definitely not as sharp as it is for exteriors, but I've been in enough construction, like, when I walk into someone's house, like, I can tell, has it been renovated? Then you look at, like, they're missing some caulking here and there, or like maybe there's a couple little mitered edges where you have some clients that don't really care, but that's why the interiors is like, you really do need, like, when someone says, hey, how much does a kitchen cost to remodel? And you're like, it's like anything else. You can spend $25,000 on a kitchen remodel and do the bare minimum, or you can spend $125,000 in the blink of an eye, and that's when you're doing jobs in Newport Coast and stuff. Like, we've done some jobs for, homeowners that have $20 million houses in Newport Coast. And you're like, I'm not calling the cheap sub. We're calling, Johnny on the spot, because we know that if there's a speck of dust that's, made it into the house, like, I'm getting my ass reamed for that. And I don't want that,
Yeah.
So, and those people aren't going to refer you. So, there is a huge, huge difference in quality, and it's like, you kind of pick two. You either get someone who's cheap, fast, or really good. And normally, you don't get all three.
Yeah.
You got to pick two, And
Yeah.
so that's what you say is, what do you got? What's important to you guys? So, but yeah, so this year was interesting. So the home service stuff, we've expanded our sales team. In my mind, it's like, I think of everything in construction terms. So in my mind, we basically dug the trenches and we put some pipe down. We grew our sales team from 2 to 5 people. We've doubled the project management side of things, and then we're looking to expand. Once Q1 comes along, we really start pumping out this new marketing content. We're going to need to hire more project managers to kind of, my mind, the marketing is what's going to fill the pipes with water, right? And then just always had the real estate stuff going in the background. This year, I purchased it's a 150 unit building up in the northern Central Valley, city of Manteca. It's about an hour south of Sacramento.
Okay.
Little podunk town, but very good economics. It's kind of like the Inland Empire of Northern California.
Okay.
A lot of people live there and they commute to the Bay Area. It's like, like I said, it's like Riverside to LA, kind of thing. Rents are half,
Yep.
And so, that was a great deal. We are now just kind of turning over the rent roll, and hopefully refinance that thing in another few years and ride off into the sunset. But
Yeah. How was it buying it now with the way rates are and stuff? I mean,
so great question. I was looking. I was spending. I wish there was a chat GPT for just how to underwrite apartment buildings and give you guidance there, but there's not. You just got to do it yourself. And so I spent probably a year and a half looking for deals, because when rates, everyone knows in real estate, at least in commercial real estate, when rates go up, values come down. And so there was just no movement on the sales, because these sellers, like, I know so many people in Phoenix, for example, that bought like a $18 to $15 million building. They maybe had 10 or 12 million in debt, that can't even get out for under 10 million. Like, they're having to walk away from their equity. They can't even pay the loan back. Like, they'll never be able to borrow again. So that's the long answer is, it was very hard to find this deal.
Yeah.
And so the reason why I was really attracted to it was because exactly related to interest was we purchased from some apartment sharpshooters. They're really well-known operators throughout the kind of Central Valley, Northern California. And we were able to assume a loan that they put on in 2018, I believe. I think it was like 6 years into the deal or so. Yeah, it's 2024. So 4.0 interest only.
Oh, wow.
Fannie Mae, so agency debt. I put the debt in my name, raised the equity. My partner put the money up, and so we both, kind of have a lot of skin.
A lot of skin
in
in
the
the
game,
game,
really. Yeah, it's a little interesting. It's a $26.5 million loan, so there goes everything if this deal doesn't go right. So, but I mean, that's why we like the deal, was because the debt was there, and so after the loan term expires, it goes into fully amortizing. So that's where a lot of people, syndicators over the past few years, really went wrong, I think, buying apartment buildings, just thinking, you could buy bridge money. For people that are watching that don't, understand, is like, if you're buying something that needs a lot of work done, you can basically buy it for a low down payment, and then your lender will lend you the construction funds on a shorter term. So like, call it a 2-year term.
Okay.
Well, apartment buildings, if you're buying 100 units, like, that takes some time to, it's like a cargo train. It takes a while to get up, but once you're up there, it's pretty steady.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're turning over all those units, a lot of people went past 2-3-year terms, and when they bought it, the rates were, 2.5%. And then when they went to go refi out of the construction loan, which is normally 18 months, 2 years, whatever, they got their asses handed to them. And so now when they go on the outside, the rates are now, they were 7%, at one time. And so you're like, oh shit, I just bought this $15 million building and now it's worth 8.
Right.
Like, what the hell do I do with that? And so I was sitting around for a while, lowballing a lot of people, and just, people weren't really ready to walk away from it. Some people were trying to negotiate with their lenders and, try to like extend and blend and stuff. And, lenders are losing a lot of money too. Like, they're getting their asses handed to them. So, but you don't really see or hear about that because, it's not something that's on the news.
Right. No.
You talk to any commercial broker, any commercial lender, ask them how they've stayed afloat the past like 2 or 3 years. They will all just like get the bottle of whiskey out and be like, dude, it's been tough.
Yeah. No, I hear it.
So, but yeah, I mean, this deal was great though, because, again, we bought it from a very reputable seller. It's not someone you really have to worry about. We always do our due diligence and stuff like that, but it's not someone you're worried about, a bunch of skeletons being buried underneath and, coming back to bite you in the ass. But they added a new leasing office. They redid the siding on all the buildings, redid the roofs, remodeled the pool. So, it's 1985 construction, but it looks like it was built in 2008. Like,
cool.
It looks like a very nice, very well showing property, which is different because the stuff that I used to do in Phoenix and Tucson was like gangbusters, go in there, kick out all the drug dealers, go kick some ass, and then, sell it and move on. And so this is more of it's a longer term play. So, the rents are all under market, and we're just trying to keep occupancy up and keep, it's in California too. So this is different. Like Arizona, you go buy a building that has all month-to-month leases, you can raise rents when those leases expire. And if the people aren't out, you pretty much have a sheriff and a constable come in with new locks and they're gone.
Yeah.
California,
a little bit
totally
different.
Story. Yeah, evictions take months. It takes lots of attorney bills. It's still, it's commoditized, like it's controllable. It just takes a little bit longer. So you underwrite for that when you're looking at the deal. But I do think that, this one has a lot of potential. What's annoying is like you see a rent that is like for a 2-bed, 2-bath that's like $300 under where it should be if that person were to just move out. And so you can't like just raise the rent that high in California. It's got to be like, I think it's like no more than 8%. It's like CPI plus whatever. So, on a $2,000 a month rent, that's like, you can't raise it more than like $150 or something like that. So it's like, that's a whole nother year you have to wait to get that to come up to market. So that's why for this deal, it's a longer term hold, like probably like 4 or 5 years, because we have to go through all 150 units, raise those up little by little every time, and then go hopefully refinance, sometime in the next under 5 years. But what's nice, and this is kind of what I was digressing to, was we don't have a gun to our head. So at the end of 4 years, the loan switches from interest only to fully amortizing. So like a lot of these other syndicators that got their asses handed to them over the past few years, they were screwed because they bought, a loan with a 2-year gun to their head, basically. So it's like, if you haven't created the value and can't exit in under 2 years, you're screwed. So that's just, rule number one. I feel like when you're buying these deals is you don't back yourself into a corner, give yourself time and always be like, hey, if we have another COVID, God forbid, stuff like that, what happens to us? Are we okay holding this? Okay. Then if you can say yes, buy the deal,
I see.
But yeah, so that's kind of the really long story, not very short.
No, it's
great.
Is
that in 2 years, so.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, California's insane. I actually read something though that Beverly Hills still is one of the best places in the country to buy real estate.
I believe it. I mean, it's like, are they talking about for appreciation or?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's like
I think best value overall, which is crazy to me though to think like out of all places, like I would think Beverly Hills would be a swamp.
I feel like on the appreciation side, like that's a hard part about buying deals in Southern California is everybody is a multimillionaire. And a lot of these people bought houses, in the 70s when they were $5,000, and now they're worth millions. And if you bought apartment complexes back then for $5 or $10,000, and now they're worth like 30 million, 40 million, 20, like, that's real money, and you're competing against those people.
Dude, there are so many people that have homes right up the street from here, right on this road right here, that have owned these houses for 40, 50 years, and they're sitting on gold mines.
Yep. And so when you're competing with those people, they
they know it.
I mean, but a lot of people like that, they have no, like if you showed them an Excel spreadsheet with like sophisticated underwriting, they would have no idea what to do. So a lot of those people are just looking to park cash. So if they have like, let's just say they have $8 million in their bank account, that's sitting there getting zero. Now interest rates have gone up; they're getting a little bit on that. But they're like, hey, I'd rather put $8 million in this really cool 10-unit apartment building on Newport Beach, or maybe it's Beverly Hills or whatever. And if you looked at the cash on cash, like you're like they're probably making like 3% on their money, but it can withstand the COVIDs. It can appreciate still because it's a coastal market. It's a very in-demand market. And so it just depends on like the flavor, I think, of what you're looking at, whereas if you go towards the Midwest, you get zero appreciation, but your cash on cash is great. So if you're trying to syndicate deals and give your investment partners, the first 6 or 8% on their money before you make a dime, go somewhere else. Right. So that's why I would never really be hot to trot in California, but because this deal had the debt piece to it, made it super interesting because it's like, hey, with really good debt, that you can solve a lot of problems with that. So cash flow is really nice. And but it's a lot of work, man. Like even just one deal, you have a property manager that does all the day-to-day stuff for you, but they still need a lot of direction, so we're looking at doing a solar deal right now. Don't want to say the name of the company, but it's pretty cool that they're looking at just doing all the rooftops and basically leasing solar space from us. So that might be, they first came in and said, hey, we'll pay you like $30,000 to do that. And I'm like, that's a no brainer. We have to pay zero for that. That's low hanging fruit. They came back after underwriting and they're like, hey, it's maybe going to be closer to 7. And then, well, you guys can go screw off. Like I just wasted a month of my life talking to you guys. And then they're like, well, I think we can get it to 11. Well, the issue was, we have some huge evergreen trees that are blocking the solar. So they said, look, we have $100,000 budget to remove these trees. So it just doesn't make our internal rate of return numbers. And so I was like, well, dude, I'm a exterior. I know those trees probably can't cost more than $2,500 to remove. Are you like taking them all down? There's a shitload of trees there. And like, no, it's like maybe like 10 or 12. I'm like, dude, this should be 25, 30 grand, like most, I'm like, I'll go rent a chainsaw and do that myself. And you can pay me $100,000. Like,
Yeah, take that.
So anyways, we're marking the trees. We're trying to get an estimate on how much they cost, but I'm very aware of how much tree trimming costs. And I think we'll be able to do it for a fraction of that. And, so they just said, if you guys want to pay for the trees, we'll give you the ROI back in year 1. So that's what I'm going to be doing this weekend is going up there and going and checking out and labeling some trees. So
there we go.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
but
really cool.
I know you guys, and so on the flip side though, we haven't seen each other. I mean, this is like our first time meeting in person.
Yeah, that's right. It's kind of crazy because we live like right up the way from each other.
Yeah. First thing I said, like, dude, this guy's freaking big in person, man. I know you're a big dude, but my brother's 6'6", like about 275 or so. But so I know, like, when I see big guys, I'm like, fuck, man, you're a big dude.
Well, thanks. I'm actually smaller than I normally am. But no, yeah, it's this has been a great year for us. And a really good year for our team and everybody involved in JWX, and it sounds like including you. And
try to keep up with you guys.
Well, obviously your deals are massive, like marathons. We're stacking, it's a different speed.
It's funny because you're just never satisfied where you're at.
No,
like when you're trying to grow in life, whether it's your weight, whether it's your business, your bank account, like. You can have a huge win, and like for me, like that deal is definitely was a year maker, but it's like I know I can do more of those, and I know that like you're always looking what the next guy has. So like for me, right, I'm so intrigued by your guys' business and your online ability to scale, because construction is so like not scalable.
Well, the biggest difference,
and so I
the
look
biggest
at you with your business, and I'm like, dude, I need to start doing what this guy's doing.
Well, the biggest difference is overhead, right?
Right.
You have a shitload.
Yes and no. So
Well, yeah, I mean,
most contractors, yes.
Okay.
But what I try to do, like the way I set up my business was, like my old man was a developer. I think I said that earlier.
Yep.
And his philosophy was like, hey, outsource everything. Work out of your living room. Hire really good attorneys. Hire really good engineers. Hire like the best of the trades. But do as much as you can yourself so you save money. And so I agree with some of that. It's a little old school, but I also feel like there's just some things you need to invest in. And so, but the way I run the construction company is like, we all work out of our living rooms. We don't have an office. We take people to showrooms that other people buy and pay for.
Okay.
We don't own any equipment.
Yep.
We sub everything out. So our job is like, we're almost like a marketing company that goes and sells retail, and then we obviously have our subcontractors that sell it to us wholesale. So
Smart.
we're just almost like brokering. So
it's pretty much the same, actually, almost the same as what my layout is,
yeah, no,
right?
it's
We
very
all,
similar.
you know, we have our studios.
Yeah.
We do have an office in Grand Rapids. That's a physical office, but no, Scotty's there, but that's it.
But I didn't know he was he's in Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's in Michigan. So we have that office. We have this studio, but otherwise we all work from our offices in our home. And you know, I have a couple mentors that are like, you got to have a brick and mortar. You should have a place to go. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, I mean,
why?
I get maybe once you get to a certain point, like for me, right? Like, yeah, once we have, you know, like a C-suite staff, like, yeah, they need somewhere to, you know, go sit in front of a computer, I guess. But even still, it's like after COVID.
Yeah, right. That's what I was about to say.
Showed us like you don't need that.
Right.
You really don't. And so for us, if we can keep our overhead low, it's going to show up in our prices to our customers, and they're going to be like, well, dude, you know, you're 30% less than these other huge retailers. Like, and we're like, yeah, because we're smart with our overhead. We are selective where we spend money. But I was going to say though, my biggest piece of my overhead is marketing, which I'm sure is your ad spend. It's like, that is really what drives the business. We have our insurance. We have, you know, all the bullshit stuff of being set up in California as an S Corp and stuff like that. But like, you know, by far marketing is our biggest cost. And that's why, you know, coming into Q1, I'm very excited to start, you know, really getting behind the books to lower our cost per customer, because that's my main priority.
Yeah, no, I love that too. I want to be involved with that as much as I can.
For sure.
And yeah, no, I think anybody listening to this that's like thinking about like going into business for themselves, or if you are and you're just like not getting it right, or you feel like you're just spending money like crazy, like it doesn't have to be that way.
For sure.
I do. You know what's funny is both of my businesses have. Other than, like you said, and again, in comparison to most of my competitors, I spend a lot of money on advertising and marketing.
I feel like in your space, you have you have a worldwide audience. You know, like the more eyeballs you get in front of, the more it's going to drop, right? You have a proven product, you've got a proven ad, like you clearly have a proven team, and you're getting referrals, right? So, you know, that's something so many people don't ever get to, is just having that scalability component. You know, that's so important.
I never would have thought it would have gotten to that point. To now where it's like the trust is so high, and to people that maybe have been following me or heard about me 4 days ago.
Yeah.
And dude, like, I'm fucking nobody.
Yeah.
I am nobody. And people get on the calls and are like, hey, Justin, like they've been friends with me forever.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy what a really warm audience can do.
Right.
You know, what are you at? 600,000?
Yeah, something like that.
Who's counting?
Well, yeah, and again, I don't even care. I don't even look at that. Honestly, you want to know what number I care about the most?
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Are we going like marketing stats too, or are you talking about like
just authority,
audience-wise?
pure authority?
Engagement, so like shares?
Nope.
What?
How many posts I have?
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's all I care about, really. I'm like nearing 2,000. And then I'll go on like one of my competitors' pages and they have like 4,500 posts. I'm like, God damn it, I got to catch up. You know what I mean? And then my main page is a relatively new. It's about it's about 4 years old, 5 years old on that page. And I've had numerous other pages, but and I try to post 3 to 7 times a day.
Wow.
But and it's funny because I hear other people in our industry, and they're like, you know, their advertisements will be like, you don't need to post, every day, or you don't need to post multiple times a day and stuff like that. And I'm like, sure, neither do I.
Yeah.
But guess what?
But here I am.
Yeah, but here I am because why? Because I want to flood
Yeah.
my feed with fucking value and good stuff. And if I miss, then I have another opportunity to hit. Sure. And if I miss, and that's how I look at it. Like I look at everything as like, I'm looking for human connection.
Sure.
I'm looking and I built my brand and I built my business off of human connection. And anybody that's watching this that's like, oh, I've actually interacted with Justin on social media. Like I'm really there. Like yes, I have a team behind me, but like you're talking to me and it's like I actually care about like learning about you.
Yeah, for sure.
And to me it's like so when I post multiple times a day. And I talk about relationship at one point, and then I talk about marketing strategies on another one, and then a sales strategy, and then I'll do something personal about my own journey and things like that. And I see the engagement come in, and it's all over the place from different types of people. But I try to like acknowledge everything that comes in some way, shape, or form, whether it's to go back to them and show them some love, sure, or to thank them, and then another conversation starts. And that type of reputation, it really, it's like how you do one thing is how you do everything, right?
For sure. So
if you put your all into your content, your engagement, your audience, the trust part is the biggest part. And the more people see you, the more they trust you.
For sure.
It's plain and simple. On top of that, if you're looking at,
and the content has to be good. And
you can't have bullshit content.
Before this, I mean, I was saying, I'm like, dude, your content always gets my attention because it's normally something relevant, right? It's like what I think is cool is like your community has a lot of obviously like you guys have expanded a lot more beyond just like bodybuilding and like coaching programs and stuff, which is cool. But like a lot of those people have the basics. Like they have super high discipline. You have a lot of stuff that is like, I feel like you don't have to be a bodybuilder or anything like that to relate to your content.
No, actually the bodybuilders are the least successful typically.
I would imagine probably because a lot of that is probably lower ticket, right? You're selling, several...
two bodybuilders and
Yeah. So, but I think what's really interesting is how you guys have expanded into like when I was there, you guys had a guy who was doing like jets and or like a jet rental business and like there's like all these guys, like I was one of the first, I feel like that was like in construction, maybe was first, whatever.
Yep.
And it's like the concepts are the same, like I don't care what you're selling, like you have to have those same foundational, audience building, whether it's you do it on social media, whether you have a team of door knockers that do something or like however you get it, you have to build a relationship. Obviously social media is such a great platform to where if you do have everything that like you have in place, which is like a content team and stuff, and you're able to broadcast your message multiple times a day and connect with your audience, like people like buying from people that they know. And it's such an interesting, it's like the golden age for guys like you today. You can be a complete stranger and build tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, in your case, relationships with people without even like actually having a physical conversation, which is like that scalability component is just like, it's cool. It's interesting, it's kind of switching sides there. Is like for me to admire, what you, and I have some other friends too that are in the content creating space and they have a lot of like very successful online companies. And it's like, it freaking takes a long time,
Yeah. Building the audience and building the trust is it's very hard.
Not for the faint hearted.
No.
But at the same time though, like, so as we're recapping 2024, you look back and I go like, man, this year was a freaking blur. Like, but if you look back, like I journal and I do a vlog to myself every Sunday for
That's
hopefully great. If I pass away early, I want my son to be able to see some stuff.
That's
like
cool.
What's going on in my life. So, but when I go back and I look,
how do you shoot the vlog real quick? Let me just ask.
Literally, I just literally use Google Meets and I record it and I just,
that's awesome.
Sometimes he'll be, cause like, it'll just be me and him sometimes Sunday mornings. And like, I'll be like, yep, this little shit just woke up at 9. He'll be screaming in the background. I'll just kind of pan the laptop over to him and be like, yeah, dude. So when you're watching this in 20 years, like you're a little shit,
Oh
whatever.
man,
and
that's
like,
cool.
And I'm like, yeah, today we're going to Irvine Park. We're going to go, feed the ducks and blah, blah, blah. And but then I'll also talk to him as if I'm not here. It's like morbid, but I don't get discomforted by it. I think it's like, cool. It'd be a cool gift.
I think it's great.
And so, I'll be like, hey, like, this week was super stressful. I had, this happen, or, talk about business, talk about relationships, talk about friendships, like, and just kind of be like, this is what your dad was going through when you were 2, because when he has kids of his own, hopefully I'm still around, but it'll be like, hey, like, oh shit, like, this is normal, or this is not normal, stuff like that.
No, I love that.
Yeah. It's, we lost, so I call him my stepdad, but he was with my mom for almost 25 years. And he's actually the one who signed for me to get my general contracting license. Either worked in a restaurant, worked for less was his name. And, we lost him last October. And, I felt like he had 5 kids and they were all super close to their dad. And to me, that was just like an out of body experience, because my old man is now 78 and I know his days are numbered. And to me, like, I'm just like, dude, after Les passed away, I wrote my dad a letter and just said, hey, here's all the shit that I've learned from you. Like, this is stuff I'll take and I'll teach to my kids and stuff. And, I wanted him to hear, like, hey, you've been a great influence in my life. Because you never know in the next, you're not guaranteed tomorrow. Like,
so you were really close with your dad and stepdad?
Yeah, it's so funny because as I was writing this letter to my dad after my stepdad passed away, I was like, you guys were super different, totally different people, but you guys both taught me the similar lessons, like in different tones of voice, in different actions. So obviously, like, when you shake someone's hand, you look them in the eye, you give them a firm handshake. If you don't, you own that person. Like, if you don't stick to your word and you have no follow through, like, you are no good to the world. The world is looking for people to figure out. Like, I can name like 10 of them, but it was just like, it was really funny because my dad had his way of teaching them to me and my stepdad had his way of teaching them to me. But they were core principles that make up, which when you have a business, like, it's really your thumbprint on that.
Yep.
You go learn how to make a recipe from 10 different chefs. You're going to put your own spin. You're going to be like, I don't like this. I like that. I'm going to make my own version. And so now, like, through my businesses, I feel like that's kind of my, my own, I have a little personal touch in all my businesses that I do. And I think a lot of that was from those 2 guys for sure.
I think it's amazing. And I know a lot of people that didn't have great relationships with their fathers, and don't take this the wrong way if you're listening to this and you didn't. But like, it actually kind of makes me reflect in my own relationship with my son, quite a bit. And in the little bit of time that I get to spend with him, because he lives across the country, that I try to like show him what my dad showed me. And my dad is again too, just like yours,
super successful,
very successful businessman. And it was always about generosity. It was always about like taking care of individuals. Now I correlate everything in business back to how he would think.
Sure.
So when
isn't that funny? How that works, right? Like, and the older you get, like when you're younger, you're like, I don't want to be anything like my parents, like blah, blah, blah. That you get older, you're like, dude, I am a lot of ways just like my dad. Like coming back to that foundation, like foundationally, I'm very similar. As you move up the pyramid stones or the exterior, whatever you want to call it, I'm very different.
Dude, bro,
hobbies, but the foundation is like, damn, I really didn't fall too far.
Dude, it was so funny the other day. I was like, I wake up really early and I go straight to my office in my home. And
like 9 o'clock in the morning or so?
Me?
Yeah, 10.
Oh, I'm in LA. Yeah. I'm gonna try again. I usually am in there at like 4 in the morning, but I always put my gym clothes on. Uh-huh. Not always. It depends on if I already have like a time in mind that I'm gonna go train. But I usually put like my gym clothes on, and I lace my shoes up and everything, and I get ready like to go to the gym, even though I'm probably not going to go to the gym until hours later on, right? And I'm sitting in my office and I'm in my computer and I'm leaning forward in my chair like this with my feet behind me like this, and I have my gym shorts on and like a tank, and I'm sitting there with my running shoes and everything, and I'm sitting at my desk like this with my feet underneath me like this, and I literally look back to all the mornings that I would wake up early and I would go down to my dad's office and he'd be sitting there in his gym clothes.
Oh, that's so funny.
And I never did that on purpose, but I texted him that morning and I go, you probably don't even know what I'm talking about. And no, I'm not fucked up. And I would be like, and I was like, I'm you.
Yeah.
And there's a million other things that happen to me on the day to day where I stop myself, and it's all typically interaction and things like that where I'm like, I'm my father. Yeah. I am exactly like, and then people that see me and that are friends with him or known him for years, and then they've known me for years because he always kept me very close by, ever since I was a child. I used to love my mom telling me this story. When my dad would take me into the dealerships and stuff. Cause like he would like literally make me go in showrooms and shake people's hands, 5 years old, and go up and like talk to them, look them in the eye, you know, and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But when I was a baby, he would always like hold me like this with my face out. Cause he was like, and he always would tell me, he'd be like, you were such a beautiful baby. I wanted everybody to see your face.
That's so funny.
Where like normally guys would hold their kids like this.
Yeah.
He would face me outwards and like, and whatever. And he would always dress me like preppy and stuff like that, which is probably why I ended up the way that I did. But anyways, I'm finding like all of these like different things. And then I see it in other things. So when have you read Bezos' letters?
Yeah, actually I did.
Okay.
I did,
So
like a year and a half ago. Yeah.
it's great, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of your opinion on Jeff Bezos.
That was the one that wasn't authored by him, right?
Right. No, it was
I read that
authored
one.
by
Was
somebody who
with
actually
the
didn't really
flywheel.
care for him all
Yes,
that much. Yeah, with the flywheel.
That was a really good book.
Yep. And the concept of obsess over your client's experience.
For sure.
Right. And I think back and I'm like all the times, because I worked for my father for a long time too. And it was always like, and this was before Bezos letters came out, obviously. And it was like always about that, obsess over your client's experience.
For sure.
And it bled into my business. And it was like, and I talked about it last night on our call actually, where it was like, you know, I put people on the spot. And I was asking them about like, you know, their programming and you know, how they're structuring their payment options and their offer and stuff like that. And I remember last night, I think, and Freddie, if I don't say this exactly how I did, remind me, but I was like, I don't think there's a single person on this screen that made it past what is a sales call for us, but it's truly an interview.
Right.
Because we don't work with everybody. And I was like, I don't think that there's a single person here that wouldn't sell a low ticket program and give that person a high ticket experience.
For sure. Because, you know, I mean, it's like Hermosi talks about is like, you know, you even if it's not just about money, right? So you have to be, you have to really care about your product, which I think is internal characteristics of like, you care about what people think about you, care about your reputation. Like, you know, you're a man or woman, I guess, of your word. It's going to translate through your product, right? And if you're in business and you figure out how to, you know, give a really good product at a good price and a good experience, like, you know, to me, like I played quarterback in high school, and I remember Vince Ferragamo. I had him, the old quarterback for the Rams. He was my quarterback coach, and I remember asking him one time. I said like, "Hey, how do you throw a perfect spiral?" Because if you watch clips of Vince Ferragamo, he had the prettiest pass. Like it was never like Brett Favre, like exact opposite, right?
Yeah,
Just
Brett Favre threw ducks.
Ferragamo was like, just everything was pretty in a perfect spiral. And I said, how do you do that? And he goes, don't worry about throwing the perfect spiral. Just get the ball there. And it's kind of like, you have all those characteristics, right? Like you might sell high ticket coaching. I might sell construction, you know, Starbucks sells coffee or whatever. But like, if you have all those components that add up to a good customer experience, and it's different for every industry, like that spiral is going to come, right? Mm-hmm. Which is a warm audience, referrals, things like that, and stuff like that. But, you know, but absolutely, like giving away stuff for free, just to help somebody too, I think is something that a lot of people don't have, you know, like are not willing to do.
I think a lot of people can't give away anything for free because it's, and then what?
Yeah.
And then it's because they blow their load, right, on the free shit.
Well, yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, if you don't have like a magic rabbit in your hat, like, and you're gonna try to just dump it out your last trick and just to get somebody to pay you, fuck you.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think it's interesting topic because, you know, I think the good person inside of me is like, hey, you want to help your neighbor, right? And but you obviously have to have boundaries. And I think that in business, what the really good offers like usually entail is some type of gift or trial period or something that shows like, hey, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to give you my product for free, which is going to cost me some money. And I'm going to hope that you like it so much you're going to want to buy it, right? And so a lot of sales guys are like, oh, that's just giving a gift, and most people feel obligated to buy from you after that, which is, there's a grain of salt with that. But if they say no and they don't like your product, they weren't going to buy from you anyways, you know? So I think all that stuff kind of ties together in, you know, being able to develop a good offer, wanting to help people is like step one, you know, because, you know, if you're not in business, like helping or figure out some type of problem that is, you know, obviously worth more or less or whatever it is, like you're not probably going to be in business for very long.
No.
People need people that can figure stuff out.
Right.
Willing to pay for it.
And again, too, like, it's funny because I don't do a lot of free shit anymore.
Well, sure.
Because I have social proof.
Yeah, I mean, you're there. Like, why do you need to? You guys have numbers and stuff, but I feel like if someone approached you on the street and was like, "Hey, Justin, like, I want to be just like you one day. Like, I want to get 500,000 followers, and I want to run, a 6-figure, 7-figure a month business. Like, like you would take them out to lunch. You'd be like, yeah, let's talk. Like, like just because that's part of paying it forward,
yeah. Well, their curiosity, their interest and respect pays me,
100%.
right? Like, cause me given an opportunity, I know this: when one person teaches, 2 people learn.
For sure. And
if somebody's going to listen to me and give me the opportunity to show them the way or teach them something, I'm going to take that opportunity because it makes me stoked.
For sure.
It gets me so fucking excited to see somebody's eyes light up when they learn something new. It's the best.
100%. I think that's just kind of part of it too. Is like when you are as successful as you are, you have to pay it back. Like, and that could come in the form of like, taking a high school kid out to lunch who wants to become an entrepreneur and just like listening to them, or maybe taking a chance on an employee or something like that you wouldn't have otherwise thought or so, because they're like, dude, I'll mop the floors like for free. Like, just show me what to do. It's like, which is kind of cool.
On the flip side, I know that, and most successful people that I know that are mentors and just successful on their own accord are more than willing to give people their time like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know anybody that's too busy or won't give people the time of day that ever has long-term success.
For sure. Absolutely. And
it's amazing how that works, isn't it?
Yeah, it is funny. It is. It's very ironic.
It's like the same thing with saying like the busiest people respond the fastest.
Oh, was it you that posted that?
Yep.
Yeah, see? Yeah, they're talking about content. Like, we haven't talked in a while, but I still see your shit.
The busiest people respond the fastest.
I have probably 5 people that I would have loved to just, like, screenshot that, share it to them, and just be like, hey, you guys need to take a lesson in this. Because I have so many people that are, like, the busiest guys that I know. Like, one of my friends, business partner, friend, he's like an older brother to me. The guy has 3 kids, and he's fostering 2, like, 1 infant. He has a 1.5-year-old girl, and then I guess she just had a little brother, and he has 5 kids, and he does very well, basically runs a business. His wife runs a business, and I'm like, dude, when do you sleep? Like, and whenever I text him or send an email, he's never late to a Zoom, stuff like that. I was just like, dude, like, I have 1 kid, and I feel like it's, that's a lot to deal with, but like, you have 5. Holy shit.
Well, yeah, we have a coach, JD, who responds fast as I do, and he has 11 kids.
What? Oh my gosh!
And if I kick him a Zoom link like with 5 minutes notice, he pops right on within
Wow,
2.
that guy deserves a Purple Heart.
Yeah. No, he might have one actually. I think he was military. But yeah, he's fit over 40 dad, and he's killing it. And again,
I think I follow him actually.
Yeah. And he's going JD.
Yeah.
And he goes viral all the time. He's got 350 like clients in his thing. Yeah, he's blown up like overnight.
He's pretty buff dude too.
Yeah,
right?
bald dude, older guy. Yeah. He's fantastic. JD, I hope you're watching this. I know you are. He'll just like he'll just post like 7-minute long testimonials about me and our guys, and post them on his grid, and collab us. And I didn't ask for it. And he'll be like, they didn't ask for this at all. I gotta just tell you guys like what's been going on. And it's really cool. And he's like, he just keeps it raw and authentic. But anyways, 11 kids. He also has like a massive golden doodle farm or something like that. And multiple businesses with his wife too. And then on top of that, he coaches 300 and some people, and he always responds so fast. That's awesome. It's actually funny because the most busy people that I know, the most successful people that I know, you'll never hear them say, "Oh, I've been really busy."
No. Yeah,
and
because they know. I mean, anybody. I feel like it's like we were talking about. I don't know if we were recording or not. But we were talking about the ChatGPT, and if you don't know an answer to something, just Google it or ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same concept. When people are like, "I just don't have the time," I'm like, no mofo. You don't want to make the time, because if you are really motivated to get something done, you wake up at 4:00 in the morning to get
right.
it done, you know, which is why I feel like so many of us wake up early, is because that's when it's quiet. That's when you can do your shit, get it out of the way. And then the day comes, your phone's blowing up, text messages, then it's game over.
Right.
You know, your day always gets a little sidetracked. But dude, it's so true.
Most people that tell me, like leading up to a sales call, that tell me like, oh man, sorry I didn't get back to you, I've been super busy. I'll get to the sales call and guess what? They're fucking broke.
Yeah.
They're fucking broke.
Yeah. I mean,
And I'm like, huh?
yeah.
You just told me you were busy.
Yeah.
You don't have anything to show for that? Yeah. How can you tell me you're busy and you don't have anything to show for it?
Busy doing stuff that doesn't make money, apparently.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a big fucking problem. Nobody should be busy and broke. That should be a big wake up call to anybody watching this. That's like, well, no, I'm really busy, but you're broke. Meaning, and when I say broke, like you wouldn't be able. Broke would be you cannot survive 6 months without a job.
Sure. Well, you know, I think it's interesting because a lot of people, I think it starts with the awareness, right? So a lot of people, like, I look back in my life and I'm super fortunate. Like, I was a massage therapist, worked in a restaurant, worked in construction, but whenever I met successful people, I was so curious because I wanted to do something on my own. You know, my dad he was extremely successful in real estate. And to me, that motivated me to be like, I want to do something else. And then going into construction, which is kind of funny. And then obviously had the real estate blood. But whenever I talk to someone who's really good at what they do, I was just like, dude, like, how did you start? How do you get your business? What's, blah, blah, blah. And you realize like everyone is a little bit different, but there's like those underlying principles, like the Ray Dalio book and things like all these things that talk about just people that operate at a higher level above the average person, the average Walmart shopper, right? Like they operate at a little bit different frequency. And so when you talk with people like that are like, oh yeah, I've been busy, I don't have time. To me, you're like, I try not to judge, but you're like, to me, I hear you are not, you just don't want it bad enough. You
Right.
want whatever it is. Like if I'm you, right, and I'm selling high ticket, or low whatever, any type of service packages, stuff like that, to teach guys to go sell online. And someone says, hey, I don't have the time or this or that. It's like, okay, then you don't want it bad enough.
Right.
Like that's just plain and simple. I don't have 20 grand. I don't have 30 grand, whatever. Okay. Like I know that for me, like I'll do whatever I got to do. If it's something that I want to make happen, like I'll do whatever I have to do to go get that, whether it's take out a loan, go work, go save for 2 years or whatever. Like I might say, hey, I don't have the money right now, but I will get it, or something like that. And, but a lot of people just, I feel like that awareness is just not even there to begin with, which kind of tells you like they maybe are not the best customers.
No, yeah, well, no, yeah, and it's not even, it's complete, yeah. Sometimes I don't, it's like, again, you find yourself wanting things for people more than they want it for themselves. And like, and it is true, like when you have like the service, the heart of service and all of that, like, I told you earlier on kind of in confidence about another topic. And it's like, I do have a guilty conscience. I do like, when the principal's voice would come up over the intercom, I thought it was always about me. And I didn't even do anything. Like, you know what I mean? There was like no reason at all for me to be like, but it was always, that stems into like so many other things where it's like, I want to help this person. I want to rescue them. Sure. Never in a relationship. I was the one that needed to be rescued, but with everything else, that was always the case. And I've had to learn to like completely lower my expectations or not have any expectations whatsoever. And it's awesome actually when you do lower your expectations of people or don't set any expectations, because then the people that you least expect it blow you out of the water.
It's a huge topic you're talking about right now. Like I didn't really get that curtain pulled back until college. I had this amazing professor, and he really was the one who kind of like, I would say if I didn't have his class, I'm sure I would have stumbled along these concepts at some point, but he taught us to really like the power of your thoughts, right? And how like your thoughts shape your actions shape your words shape your beliefs, and then it's a vicious cycle. So if you want to change, right, you have to start catching your thoughts and realize that you are not your thoughts. You're separate from your thoughts. And I didn't know this, but this guy, dude, he laid so much truth. Like, so expectations versus aspirations, like that was a big topic. Like just saying, like, dude, when you get mad at someone because they cut you off, like you just gave power to that person completely. like you're powerless, like over that person that just cut you off or cut you in line or whatever. Like why you're choosing to get upset. And it was like at 21 years old or 19 years old, I was so lucky to have that because I'm like, holy shit, this guy's right. Like I don't want to get pissed. Like that's a whole minute of my life that I'll never get back.
Right.
You know? But where I was going with that was, you know, your thoughts, words, actions, beliefs, and habits, like really, really, if you don't have an awareness of those, I feel like you can tell pretty quick talking to people based on what they are saying. Like, oh, I'll never be fit because I like food, or I'll never, you know, I'm bad at names, so I'll never. It's like, dude, you're telling yourself that every single day. You probably never will be. Okay, but you like just like wear a little thing on your wrist and snap yourself every time you catch one of those thoughts.
Right.
Or something, you know, like do whatever you can.
I'm a procrastinator.
Oh yeah. Like,
Gary John Bishop says that there's no such thing as a procrastinator.
I'm not familiar with that. What is his?
He wrote, actually, it's funny. I just did a whole show on one of his books. Stop Doing That Shit is what it's called.
Okay.
It's like a guide to stop self-sabotage. It's a good book, but it was, that's another conversation. But yeah, he discusses that like nobody is a procrastinator. That's not even a word. That's not even a thing. You can be somebody who procrastinates, but that's not what you are.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's kind of a basic concept, but a lot of these people that are that way, they tend to, you know, I've never been good at remembering names. And then you'll hear in the same token, that's like, oh, my mom and dad never amounted to anything, so neither will I. So it's like, it's external.
People get caught in those stories that they tell themselves, and it's like they feel comfort from it. And dude, we all are victims of it, but I feel like you gotta catch those things when you hear them in your own mind, and then just really kind of like, you know, just say, cut that out. Like, I don't know if you, because I know you're a big reader, which what was cool when I signed your program is like all the books you guys recommend. I'm like, this is awesome. I don't have a lot of friends or family that read as much as they, that's what I love doing, is waking up early and just reading. And, the Chat GPT Millionaire was great. The, was it Messages or Letters from Garcia?
Message to Garcia. That was a great book. You'll be stuck polishing your bench with a hard luck story. I fucking love that. And was really because the story, it's a story of Rowan, right? E.L. Hubbard, is that
basically
his?
Just figure it the
fuck out.
Like, man up, go do it. Like,
oh
no
my
one's coming
God.
to save you.
You want to know what's really funny in my dealerships?
What?
When someone would be like, ask a stupid question or like need like extravagant guidance over a simple task or whatever, we would keep those little books in our desk and we would just walk over and just set it right on their desk and walk away. Figure it the fuck out. Funny. And it's the most archaic text ever, but it's good.
Yeah. Well, it's like there's a handful of books that I feel like really change. I'd be super curious, like top 3 books that have changed your life. Like, I'm just curious. I know you read a lot of books, so but I feel like everyone's got a few that really were like at different points for different reasons. Really was like, I needed this book right now.
Yeah. So there's a number. And I'm not actually like a self-help book reader, but I will tell you
Eckhart Tolle. Any of his?
Yeah. But Mere Christianity.
Oh yeah.
Okay, C.S. Lewis.
Yeah.
Velvet Elvis by Rob Bell. So I really.
I haven't heard of him.
He's a Michigan author. He was like one of like the chairmans of Oprah's book club. He was a friend of mine actually.
Wow.
And a big pastor. So it's funny. I like theology books. Want to know what's even crazy about that though?
You're not religious.
I'm not religious at all.
That's how it goes.
Yep. I love, and then Generous Orthodoxy would be another one. It's also from Brian McLaren, who was a emergent Christian author. I love fucking theology books.
I love apologetic theology books. Like for me, I love hearing the different. So I am religious, but I'm not the type of person who's going to go and like, you know, tell you like, you know, you shouldn't be doing this, blah, blah, blah. Like I grew up in religion, and then I kind of had my doubts and went away, and then was very curious about it and studied my way back into it and kind of affirmed my beliefs that way. But I love hearing all sides of everything. So like the theism, atheism, you know, like just everything, and just going like, why I guess I'm genuinely interested on why people believe what they believe, because
it's geographical.
It's geographical, it's dogmatic, but again, a lot of people don't ever really kind of question their beliefs, which I feel like is
That's a problem.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
a problem. And actually questioning your beliefs is what made C.S. Lewis.
Yep.
It's actually, you know, not questioning your beliefs, but questioning God was something that
Dude
is
was
that
so
is
far-
Christ-like.
Was it like the late 20s he wrote in those books? Like,
Yeah.
a lot of his books were
Yeah.
like the 20s.
Have you ever heard, did you ever know that he actually sat down with Sigmund Freud for like a while? He actually saved Sigmund Freud's life.
No, I know it was his wife committed suicide, or early, which is like kind of what
Sigmund Freud's.
C.S. Lewis too, I believe.
Oh, really?
That
Yeah,
book,
because they were
A
both
Grief-
widowers.
A Grief Observed, I believe, was his like worst pain that he could ever talk about, and he talks about how, you know, he became closer to God through all that stuff. And it
Well,
was,
yeah, because you know his
interesting take.
early career, he was basically trying to disprove God.
Yeah,
which
a
only
lot of
drew
those
him
guys
closer
were.
to
Yeah,
God.
for sure.
And it's funny because when he linked up with Sigmund Freud, they went back and forth. They spent like days together.
Did not know that. That's super interesting.
Days.
Makes a lot of sense because
It was like during like World War One, was it, or what?
it
Some
was probably
war.
World War One, because World War Two is in the 40s. So if he was kind of in his prime in the late 20s, early 30s, it's probably somewhere up around then.
Yeah. So there was like an airstrike or some situation that he actually like saved Freud's life.
No shit, I did not know that.
Yeah, which is really crazy to think.
That
like
is
you have
crazy.
like the father of like psychology or whatever,
Yeah,
and
no, I
atheism
know.
and everything.
Everybody studied Freud. I was in college. I was a bio major for a couple years, then I switched to comm with business as an undergrad before I got my MBA. And so I like kind of covered the gambit, but everyone studied Freud. Like Freud would get brought up in business, get brought up in marketing, get brought up in communication, psychology, stuff like that. And like super interesting guy.
Yeah, so there's actually a movie called Freud's Last something. It's literally about
that'd be
it's
interesting.
about C.S. Lewis and Sigmund Freud.
No shit.
Yeah.
You have to text me that because
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
love to watch
Here, let's
that.
ask ChatGPT what it's called. What's the latest movie about C.S. Lewis and Freud? What's it called? Freud's Last Session.
Okay. Easy to remember.
Yep. Freud's Last Session premiered 2023. It's grossed 2.7 million. Not enough. And Anthony Hopkins
Well, I
plays
haven't heard of it. Oh, really?
Freud. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but C.S. Lewis is honestly though, as great as Hopkins is, C.S. Lewis's character. Who plays C.S. Lewis? Let's find out. Here we go. Who plays C.S. Lewis? I love ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's a staple for sure.
Matthew Good.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic. And two like Screw Tape Letters too.
Screwtape
Oh
Letters.
my God.
Dude, that if honestly, two books that everyone's listening who like, if you're going through something really hard, if you, I don't think you haven't read The Grief Observed.
No, I haven't.
Okay, if you're going through hard shit, like read that book. It gives you a very interesting perspective of like you're not alone. Okay,
Yeah.
like there's other people that have gone through really gnarly shit and you can get through it. Screwtape Letters, it is a mind. It's a mind bender.
It's a masterpiece.
It's a trip, and for those of you who don't know, it's basically a book that's written from like
The perception
devil's-
of two demons.
yeah, two demons.
Wormwood
trying
and
to
Screwtape,
Yeah, Wormwood
right?
and Screwtape, and they're trying to influence basically
A guy.
infiltrate someone's mind and
Yep.
trying to like turn them, to the dark
But
side,
subtly,
if you will. Yeah,
which is
it's
really
a
interesting
trip.
how it works because, it's like,
It'd be a great movie.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It would be a gnarly movie.
he would write, he would be like, instead of having him just get hit by a bus,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Make him think about lunch.
Yeah.
Right. And like, cause like as he was about to like do something and again, it's been years since I've read it.
I read it in 2013. I still remember. I was in New Zealand doing an internship, and I brought down a handful of the C.S. Lewis books, and I read them all when I was there. And I just remember, I remember exactly where I was sitting when I read that book in the morning. I still was like, that's such a trip.
It's a trip.
Yeah.
And then anything inside of personal development, I'll be obviously like Carnegie's book,
Yeah.
and,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah, those
it's
are
100 years old. It'll never go out of style.
Sure. Did you ever read Never Split the Difference?
Yep.
Chris, I probably read that book cover to cover at least 7 times.
Oh, really?
Every single time I get something so different out of it. I can apply different situations. I think I first read that book in 2016 or so, maybe 2017. And like, just whenever you're going through, like, that book is what, $25? Every book's what, $20?
Yeah.
The amount of money that like a really good book can put in your pocket
Yep.
is like 1,000,000 to 1 return on investment. And I swear, Never
that's-
Split the Difference really helped me understand like the art of negotiating, really. Like,
Yep.
and it's there's no real, like 1, 2, 3, 4-step thing. It's really just talking, and it's reaffirming, and it's just slowly guiding someone down the path,
Yep.
and it's like while letting them feel completely in control. And I remember I couldn't stop listening to his YouTube content, his books. Like, I made it so it was like ingrained in me. And it's funny because I can tell when I'm not even doing business with people, but I can tell, like, some people will do things that I learned, little tricks from his book, and I'll be like, did you read Never Split the Difference? And they like kind of smile, like, yeah. I'm like, oh, I saw what you just did. And it's just funny, dude. It's crazy.
So I was recently on Chris Collins' show, Books That Changed My Life. And he asked me to be on the show, and he was like, what's the book that changed your life? And it was fucked up because I picked, so not fucked up, but there's a million other books. Yeah, there's a million other books that I did. So I went with a book that it didn't actually change my life, but it was a book that I was suggested during a time of my life that was pivotal.
Sure.
Right? Gary John Bishop is a fantastic author, but he's not anything that you've never heard before. He just swears a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And he's got he's like Scottish, and he's kind of cool and hip and whatever. But his concepts are very, very mundane overall.
Sure.
Okay. You can find them in most generic.
A lot of authors, I feel like, just take very mundane stuff and they just put their own flair on it and make it interesting.
Right.
And it sells.
And if I really would look into like how many books that have changed my life, or what was like the one, I think Velvet Elvis was one that actually changed my life.
I've never heard of it. What's that one about?
It's theology.
Oh, okay.
It's like modern day, generous orthodoxy, emergent Christian theology.
Interesting.
But the concepts you can elaborate on and expand on for days. And if you read it, it was a bestseller. It was like back when bestsellers actually meant something.
Sure. Yeah.
And
everything's a bestseller.
Everything's a bestseller. I need 100 people to vote for it.
Yeah.
But back when bestsellers were actually bestsellers, it was. I remember I read that. I was young when I first read it. And it's cool. It's really cool. It's about like basically the book is named after a velvet painting of Elvis on a velvet canvas, but it's all about questioning and questioning God and questioning in what's real. Is hell real? Rob Bell took a lot of heat after he wrote that book because he was a massive pastor, 10,000 member church or whatever in West Michigan, which West Michigan is known for being very reformed and charismatic Christian and non-denom. So some huge churches. I mean, Dobson's from Grand Rapids, who's now passed, but his son Daniel is one of my close friends. Vanderklocks are from Grand Rapids, and Rob Bell was. So I mean, you're talking like 50,000.
Right
yeah,
there,
yeah, total. Like, no doubt. And the Zondervans, who write every Bible, they're all from West Michigan too. So every Bible, if you open up your Bible, it probably says Zondervan in it. Anyways, so it was one of those things where like he threw out some pretty wild concepts. And we can dive into this on another podcast, but one was for example, I haven't read this book in over 20. I haven't read this book in 20 years.
But just to remember the concept. I mean, no one's going to be able to recite the chapter.
Well, and right, and
remember what stuck with you that you can apply.
Yeah, and I applied this to the rest of my life, where it was like he basically it's like chapter 2, I believe, and in chapter 2 it's called Jump. Literally, the chapter is just called Jump, and he talks about if something goes missing. In your faith, in your beliefs. If you woke up tomorrow and there was like breaking news, Jesus Christ had a biological father named Larry, and it's proven he was not actually born of a virgin, immaculate conception, because there's a big difference.
Right.
And he goes into like the idea that there's a big difference between born of a virgin and immaculate conception, meaning that back then, born of a virgin meant that you were conceived when your mother had sex the first time, is what born of a virgin meant. Immaculate conception would mean that you didn't have sex and got pregnant. Got it. Okay. And there was no talk of immaculate conception. So it was like born of a virgin. So if you found out that there was right there, does that take anything away from your faith?
Interesting.
And what the concept of jump is that if you set up a trampoline and you put it all up and you have your buddies come in your backyard and they're setting up the trampoline for the kids and one spring's missing and just one spring is missing, do you still jump? Fuck yeah.
Sure.
And not only are you going to jump, you're going to invite other people on with you.
Sure.
So I've used that analogy and that concept of if one thing's missing, does it completely destroy everything else?
No.
But to a lot of people, it does.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think too, like the more people you talk to, I feel like the less you know, but like the more you know, but you see where like people get hung up on little stuff.
Oh, it's bullshit.
Like, dude, it's crazy, man. I'm not going to name names, but like there's just some people where, you know, I'm like, dude, I've been fighting fires all day and dealing with this and curveballs and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and then you hear, you know, like, oh my gosh, I just, you know, whatever. Someone cut in front of me in the Home Depot line or something like that. And they talk about it for 5 minutes. You're like, dude, I've had like 12 of those before freaking I've had breakfast. Like, you know, like, dude, is this really what you're going to chat for 5 minutes about? Cause it was that bad.
Yeah.
Like look at,
well, you got to understand,
you have $1 million house you're living in, you have a healthy kid, like stuff like that. And you're just like, that's what you're giving your attention and energy to, you know? And it's
well, they're busy.
Yeah, they're busy, just like your sales guy
Yeah.
on the call.
Yeah, they're busy, you know.
They're busy.
Bro, this is our last podcast of the year.
Awesome. Well, dude.
And this was great.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on here. It's been a pleasure. I can't believe we haven't met in person still either. We just chat over the air.
We could probably go forever.
Yeah, I would think so. I think when you read a lot of books, it's weird. You just like talking about books with other people. Just that alone, you know. But
yeah.
You know, you're killing it online on social media. I'm hoping that hopefully next time we chat, I'll be taking a little deeper dive on getting some organic content put out there.
Definitely. Utilize and lean into us more. I mean, you know,
sure.
we have, especially as you're going to start doing more content development and stuff like that. Like we have a whole nother department now. And some guys that are absolutely crushing it, that are now in leadership, that are like specific to content creation.
Sure.
So,
yeah,
Dan Herring actually is in charge of it with Jake, and and the two of them are doing all like visual stuff. But Dan's been going viral like crazy.
Well, be ready, man. I'll be banging down the door because
please.
Right now I'm in like learn mode. I'm basically taking the end of December to just drink out of a fire hose with information. And in January is like, all right, we're going. Like,
are you and have you logged into our new system?
I haven't
Jesus
yet.
Christ.
Circles,
okay. Yeah.
Right?
Circle. Yeah.
Okay. Circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Log in.
Yet, so
yeah. Get in.
It's Matt still.
I'll have him get a hold of you right now.
Okay. Cool. For sure.
Yeah. No. We've packed that thing full of information, and we have a whole section on just content alone.
Awesome. So I'm stoked, man. We're ready to dive in. So.
Hell yeah, bro.
Cool, man.
It's a good episode.
Yeah. Thanks for this.
Hell yeah. That's a wrap.
All right.
God damn, that was good.
That was good.
And it smells like Cuban cigars in here, like crazy.